On Sunday the 8th of February, I drove to the Crow Hill car park in the western Knockmealdowns to do one of my favourite hikes, an 11-kilometre loop walk taking in Knockmealdowns and Knockmealdowns. It's a straightforward hike with no significant steep ascents or descents, and is suitable for all levels of walker. Even the hike to the summit of Knockmealdowns and back is well worth it, as there is a large cairn on top which is worth seeing. My usual treks into the hills are in the company of a small group of fellow hikers, but every now and then it's good to go solo. With a group there is normally a brisk forward momentum at all times, whereas one can stop more often for photography and video when on one's own. And today's forecast, after weeks of unremitting rain, was for sunshine and calm winds, ideal for putting my drone into the sky. This was also my first opportunity to use my new Garmin eTrex Touch GPS device in the hills. I lost my previous Garmin eTrex 32 in a bog in County Kerry 2 years ago, and I knew I needed to replace it at some stage. Garmin introduced this new model a few months ago, and it is a giant leap forward from the 32. I've been using it for low-level walks near home. It's like going from a Lada to a Lexus. I made a GPX file of my route and loaded it onto the eTrex. This meant that the line of my route was visible at all times, as was my position. So, even if the weather deteriorated and visibility was limited, I could make my way without difficulty, simply by following the line on the eTrex screen. Or, if I wanted to stop at any stage and return whence I came, all I needed to do was to choose the track back option, and it would guide me back to my starting point. And as it happened, on the ascent to Knockmealdowns, the weather did disimprove. Fog came down, and as there was no distinct path, good navigation became essential. Needless to say, the Garmin did the job. I simply followed the line of my pre-loaded route. At the summit there is a large cairn, probably dating back to several thousand years before Christ. It may have been a burial chamber for some ancient person of high status. Over the decades it has been extensively dug into, and there is a large shelter now in the centre of the cairn. This is a shame, and ideally it should be restored, but that is highly unlikely to happen. I met this group of hikers from the Dungarvan Hill Walking Club, who were doing more or less the same route as me. From the summit I carried on southeast towards the next summit, Knockmealdowns. The going was easy and was not as wet as I expected. Given the rainfall we've had over the last number of weeks, I expected it to be a lot worse. Hiking solo, keeping an eye on the ground for hazards like bog holes, and regularly checking that I wasn't deviating from my route, made for a present moment state of mind. When hiking, one is very much in the now of the place and time, and the everyday world, with all its stressors and challenges, is left behind. From Knockmealdowns, I headed south along the hillside, with the V below me, and Sugarloaf and Knockmealdowns hidden in the cloud above it. rejoined the Blackwater Way and headed due west. The steepest climb of the day was the ascent to the minor peak of Knockmealdowns. A bit of a slog, but not difficult. From the plateau on top, the way back to the car park followed the clearly defined path of the Blackwater Way. As I said at the outset, this is one of my favourite hikes, and I would highly recommend it in whole or in part to walkers of all ages. The hike to Knockmealdowns and back would be an ideal introduction to hill walking for children. Just be sure you have the means to navigate, in case, as often happens, the weather changes suddenly.